Welcome to the book review of Conan the Liberator. So Aquilonia at this time is under the rule of the Mad King Numidides, and he has a sorcerer in his employ called Thulandrathu, who is really the one who pulls the strings behind the throne. Numidides is completely basically going insane from moment to moment. So he's not interested in leading or ruling Aquilonia, and it's going from bad to worse. He wants to become a god, and that's why he's employed Thulandrathu in search for that secret. And I think that's one of the best scenes actually in the book, in the beginning, where we first introduced to Numidides and Thulandrathu. Numidides was his name, nephew and successor to Vilers III, and the scion of an ancient royal line. For 60 years the kingdom had grown beneath his heavy hand. Superstitious, ignorant, self-indulgent, and cruel was Numidides. But heretofore his sins were merely those of any royal voluptuary with a taste for soft flesh, the crack of the lash, and the cries of cringing supplicants. For some time Numidides had been content to let his ministers rule the people in his name while he wallowed in the sensual pleasures of his harem and his torture chamber. So the novel basically starts with Conan and his group landing in Mesantia. You can see here that here's the map that comes with it. You can see here, up here, Mesantia, and Aquilonia is here. Down here is the capital, Tarantia. So it begins there and basically ends here. And the Aquilonians, the nobles, are getting weary. They're not really behind the king anymore. They don't want to have anything to do with him. So that's why a lot of them are starting to think about changing their allegiance to Conan and rising up. Hence one of the names, or hence the name Conan the Liberator, as they start to spread that news that Conan is coming to liberate Aquilonia, not to decimate or pillage it in any way. And some of the nobles join Conan and some of them don't. But yeah, it's really about Numidides' poor mismanagement of everything. He quits day-to-day rule, and Thulandrathu, the sorcerer, is the one who rules from day to day, and he has his spies around this part of the world he gets information from, and he sends a mole into Conan's camp to, well, essentially kill Conan and destroy the uprising. The army is prepared, said Prospero. The men are trained and as ready to fight as ever they will be. It were well they were blooded soon, ere inaction dulls the edge of their fighting spirit. Conan nodded somberly. Experience had taught him that an army overtrained and underused is often splintered into quarreling factions by those same forces of pride and militancy that its trainers have so painstakingly instilled, or it rots like overripe fruit. I agree, Prospero, said the Cimmerian, but an equal peril lies in too early a move. Surely Procas in Aquilonia has spies to tell him that we lodge in the mountains of northern Argos. And a general less shrewd than he would guess that we mean to cross the Alime into Poitan, the most disaffected of all the provinces of Aquilonia. He needs but to mount a heavy guard at every ford and keep his border legion mobile, ready to march to any threatened crossing. Yeah, it was an interesting book actually, in that sense that it wasn't really a classic tale of Conan in that sense. It was more like Well, I guess it was, but in another way, it wasn't. It was like a tale without a beginning, or nor an end. It was like a scene taken from Conan's military campaign of Aquilonia. So it kind of. I looked at the chronology. Well, one of them, and it looked like it's set before Phoenix on the Sword, which is actually Robert E. Howard's first story that he published about Conan. So in that sense, it's interesting. There's some of the same characters in this actually, like Prospero and Palantides and Trocero. So that was interesting. But yeah, so it was kind of like a prequel, but like most prequels go, it was being serious. It was quite average book. It wasn't anything special, but it wasn't bad either. But it wasn't. It's not something you would read again. Also wanted to say, I was surprised by the military-esque of this story, but obviously I knew Conan was a general, so I knew there was probably books about his more military campaigns, and that's no problem with me. I actually, while reading, I got to think of another great fantasy series that I read many years ago that I really loved, and I really recommend you guys if you want a much better book series that is military-esque and fantasy. It's called The Black Company by Glenn Cook, and you guys need to check them out. All his books came out in the 80s. Really get those books. Those are fantastic. Well, anyway, that's my review of Conan the Liberator, and I'll see you guys